2 of Sports Talk up next with your hosts Phil Kornblut, Will Pelagic, and the Professor Tom Hayes. Don't leave us hanging. Join the show, 800-956-7266.
We are back at Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network from downtown Columbia. Good to have you with us here on a Wednesday night. Much to come in this hour of Sports Talk. We've got some Gamecock football. We've got some baseball for you as well. SC Wild tonight, too. At the bottom of the hour, Captain Billy Downer will be with us, and we've got recruiting coming up for you as well here in just a little bit. So stay tuned for all of that here on Sports Talk as we are into our second hour on this Wednesday night. If you want to jump on board, 800-956-7266 is the phone number. Email talkback at sportstalksc.com. And, of course, on Twitter, you can watch us on Twitter, our Twitter feed, on our Twitter timeline at SportsTalkSC. You can also go to our website, sportstalksc.com, and click on the link to watch our Twitter feed and listen to us that way. Should you lose us over the airways. The airways, of course, always the easiest way to stay with us. Last night in Columbia, the Citadel sprung a surprise on USC, getting a home run in the 9th inning from Ben Payton, first baseman for the Bulldogs, and they beat South Carolina 4-3. First-year coach Tony Skoll, of course, a former Bulldog standout player himself, had a 3-game losing streak for his team snapped with that win last night. Gets his first win over USC. Obviously, he was very, very happy to see his guys just sort of keep plugging away, and he loved what Payton did in the 9th inning with that pitch to send it out of the ballpark.
You're never comfortable when he's in the batter's box because he can leave yard in a hurry. And, I thought I was proud of our guys. We got up and then they tied it. And then especially a big swing like that sort of took the wind out of our sails. But our guys kept fighting and kept fighting. And what a big at-bat for Ben Payton. And he got a break him all he was looking for and, got it up in that jet stream a little bit. So it was exciting. I'm very proud of our guys. It's probably not a fair fight on paper, this matchup, but you don't play it on paper. You got to play it between the lines. So very proud of just our resilience tonight and the toughness. I thought we pitched very well. We played solid defense and some timely hittings, and that's a pretty good recipe for success.
How big of a springboard can this be, especially after dropping 3 in a row, to go into SoCon play with a win like this?
Well, college baseball is a huge game of momentum. So we're going to try to parlay it. We got an opening conference weekend this weekend versus Western Carolina. So we got our work cut out there. But it's funny. In our very first meeting with our guys in August, I asked them to raise their hands if they had ever won a game versus Carolina or Clemson, and nobody could raise their hands. So I reminded them of that in the outfield today. So it's a good win for our program. And like I said, I have the utmost respect for Coach Kingston and Coach Tanner, Coach Holbrook, and what this program stands for and what they've done for baseball in our state. So it's a huge win for Citadel baseball, and I couldn't be more proud of our kids.
How about the 8th inning? For them, they get the leadoff triple, and you strand them there, and just the way you guys got out off the hook there.
Yeah, I mean, you're sort of, you're thinking, what are we going to do in the top of the 9th to try to score one, because you figure that leadoff guy is going to score from third base. But what a great job of pitching by Jordan Buster, just very courageous, and he was locating his fastball down in the zone and just got some big strikeouts when he needed tonight.
Thank you very much. All right, Citadel coach Tony Skoll following the win. Mark Kingston, USC's coach, is an intense. He was not happy after last night's loss, and he shared those thoughts in his post-game comments following the game. He met with the media again today, primarily, we thought, to talk about Georgia, but really it was more about the state of his team after 21 games. The Gamecocks are 13-8. It's not good. Not good for a team of this caliber, for a program of this caliber, and they're really digging themselves a hole as they move deeper into league play. The opportunity for getting an at-large bid to the NCAA tournament as these losses pile up, if you don't win the SEC championship and get the automatic bid, well, those chances get smaller and smaller. So today at his press conference, he was asked about dealing with these tough losses, these close losses, how do you deal with them? What do you do to turn it around?
Every day and get better. That's all you can do. My goal is just make sure we maximize our talent, our program, maximize what we can do every single day. So we've had stretches this year where we look really good. We've had stretches this year where we let one-run games slip away. And to me, that's my biggest frustration as the coach is I want to do something to help these guys win those games. And we have to continue to work through those. If we've been getting blown out, by 7 or 8 runs, and that's how most of our losses have happened, then I think, we could all say, well, maybe this we need to mail it in. And that's not the case at all. We're so close. But we need to make sure that we eliminate these small mistakes, these mental mistakes that have cost us games. Just this past week, I think some mental mistakes, some correctable mistakes cost us one-run games. And to me, that's the biggest thing that we're focusing on as a coaching staff right now is we got to stay positive. We need to have good stability in the program in terms of how we approach things and let the guys know what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, and just get better and improve. That's the only approach that will work at this point.
I know you weren't here last year and can't speak to that, but a lot of the losses were similar last year, a lot of close losses, a mistake here and there. Do you get a sense from the guys that, they're in the here we go again kind of mode, or they kind of past that and feel like you can get them to turn those games around?
Yeah, as you said, all I can see is what I see in front of me here. And I see a team that's frustrated and disappointed, but I have not seen a team that has done anything other than go full bore and attack baseball games. And once again, it's up to the players and the coaches together to bust through that threshold. And the last 8 SEC series last year didn't go our way, and the first 2 big series this year, when you look at Clemson and Florida, we lost both game 3s by a run. So we just have to break through that threshold. And at some point, when you do break through, that's when the guys start to believe. Confidence is a big thing, but sometimes confidence comes from you actually do it, and you get that big hit, and now it feels like it builds on itself. So we just have to break through that threshold and then create momentum from there. It's the only way you can do it. It's not going to happen because you hope it happens. It's not going to happen when you feel sorry for yourself. The only approach that I know is to just continue to attack.
Mark, you mentioned last night the fact that you have to keep the team together and not allow any cracks. How much of that falls on you and how much falls on maybe the senior leadership?
I think both. Good teams have good leadership at the top, and I take that very serious. Our staff takes that very serious, but also you do need your veterans to make sure that they are echoing the message. I think the message is good, so it's up to our guys, and they are doing a good job of making sure they echo that message, that everybody stays on board, that everybody pulls on the same rope. I know those are cliches you hear all the time, but they're important, and you can go 2 ways. When you struggle, it can make you weaker or it can make you stronger. My job as the leader of this program is to make sure that our struggles, we learn from them. We understand why we're struggling and what needs to be adjusted, but also that they make our team and our players stronger from going through them.
Cortez had the homer last night, had a couple of hits. You see signs of him getting that stroke back to where we saw it last year?
Yeah, I think so. He worked on some things yesterday that I saw instant carryover into the game in terms of balance, in terms of being ready to hit more than just one pitch, in terms of being in a position where he could handle the ball away, which he's not done a good job of a lot of this year. So I saw some things that weren't just false hope. I saw some things that he worked on and that carried over into the game. He had the double to left. He had the homer to right. He had a big walk late in the game. So I saw a good hitter last night, and I think he just needs to build on that. I think it's well chronicled that he struggled early last year at this point. Last year at this point, he was hitting 182 with no homers and 1 RBI. So he's well ahead of that, and hopefully he can continue to have a great second half or second the 2/3 of the season. If he does that, then we'll be a better team.
All right, Mark Kingston from earlier today, and the Gamecocks getting ready to go to Athens to play Georgia, an improved team. Georgia's won 9 in a row at home, coming off a 2-1 weekend against Alabama. They've been down for a few years. Maybe they're rebounding some this year. We'll find out. But Gamecocks need to get themselves a series win over somebody, because they've done a long, long time without beating anybody of consequence in a series. We'll be right back.
This is the place to talk Tigers, Gamecocks, and more. Sports talk across the state on the South Carolina Radio Network.
All right, we got recruiting coming up for you in just a moment. Also, USC quarterback Jake Bentley. Hey, did you know about 2.5 million children and adults suffer traumatic brain injuries annually? March is Brain Injury Awareness Month, and to learn more and to help the Brain Injury Alliance research, educate, and advocate for survivors of brain injuries, please visit www.biaofsc.com. That address again is biaofsc.com. All right, recruiting. First in basketball, Frank Martin was in Las Vegas yesterday to meet with 6'4" TJ Moss of Findlay Prep. Visit went well, and Martin plans to make an in-home with Moss and his family in Memphis after the team comes back for the national tournament in New York at the end of the month. This was Martin's first chance to see Moss since his team played in Columbia in December. After the in-home, Moss will take an official to USC the next week. Keep an eye on Memphis with Penny Hardaway now the coach. That is the coach that Moss played for in high school in Memphis before he moved out to the school in actually Henderson, Nevada. Alabama, Oregon State, Minnesota, Texas A&M have also offered. Football, USC and Clemson target quarterback Tayshaun Pomachichan of Avon, Connecticut, visiting Florida State today. He was at Florida earlier in the week. He's also been to USC and Clemson. Clemson USC target defensive back Andrew Booth, Lawrenceville, Georgia, was offered by Oregon. USC and Clemson target defensive lineman Hakeem Beeman of Chesterfield, Virginia, decommitted from North Carolina. Defensive back Khair Elam of North Palm Beach, Florida, is at Clemson today. He has a Clemson offer. He's on a tour of schools. He's also seeing NC State, Georgia, Alabama, and Auburn on this trip. Quarterback Sam Howell, Monroe, North Carolina, one of the top quarterbacks in the country, runner and thrower. USC was an early offer and had a lot of interest when Kurt Roper was the coach, not so much under Dan Werner. So that ship has sailed, but Clemson remains extremely involved. He kind of feels like, they haven't told him this, but he kind of feels like he is the one the Tigers want in this class. And he's been to Clemson twice, so they're making a big push. His most recent visit, March the 12th. And so Clemson is high up on his list right now, really enjoys it when he visits there, likes the offense. He says he's not concerned about all the quarterbacks in that room at Clemson because they recruit at a high level, they win at a high level, so they're going to attract very good quarterbacks. So he's also been to Ohio State. He's also been to Tennessee and West Virginia. He's going to Florida March 30th and Florida State the day after. Not sure when he'll return to Clemson before he makes his decision within the next month or two. Top group currently is Clemson, Tennessee, Ohio State, North Carolina, Florida, and Florida State. All are recruiting him hard. He'll sign and graduate in December. Last year, 3,372 passing yards, 36 touchdowns, 1,594 rushing yards, and 9 touchdowns. That's recruiting. Check it out on our website regularly, SportsTalkSC.com, on Twitter at SportsTalkSC. You can also use the hashtag STRecruiting. All right, at USC today, we had a chance to talk to a bunch of the football players. They had just meetings today, no practice. They'll practice tomorrow, Friday, and scrimmage on Saturday inside Williams-Brice. Jake Bentley, quarterback, of course, he was among those to meet with the media today. He was asked about not having Deebo Samuel in a situation where they can work together right now, thrower and catcher, and how that affects the two of them being on the same page in this relatively new offense moving forward.
I mean, it's definitely a thing where, you're not getting the reps. I mean, it's a deal where we're going to have to make up for it somehow, which is whether that's, just working extra hard in the summer. The good thing is there's a lot of time between now and when we play. So it's not a huge deal, but it's also, somewhat of a factor when they're not out there. I mean, you're not getting the reps with them, putting in new stuff, and they're not necessarily out there with you. They know it, they're not out there with you, but we do have the whole summer and the whole fall camp to get the reps, so we'll be fine.
Who are the guys that have stepped up? Who are the guys that you are throwing to a lot this spring that you just find yourself, for whatever reason, that guy's catching a lot of balls?
Mm-hmm. Or Trey and Chavis on the outside. Trey's kind of, been there and solidified himself, but Chavis has really stepped up and really elevated his game. And then, Casey and Jake have really been doing a good job too of stepping in and really, getting those inside positions filled, with a couple guys out. And then Shy's literally played every position at receiver. So he's going inside and outside right now, and he's doing a great job for us.
What's the tempo been like under Coach Werner?
It's been a big difference for us. We can see it on our defense. We, every day it seems like they're way out of position, and we get a touchdown just because we're going so fast, and it might be a little bit faster than it would be on game day, but trying to make it as fast as we can, and has been a big advantage for us.
Are you comfortable with that? How long did it take you to adjust to that?
It takes you a little while because you got to get the whole process of it. You really don't get to see as much, but then again, you don't overthink anything. You make a decision and go with it, and whether it's good or bad, you're playing fast, and that's what the big thing that we talk about. Just make a decision and just go with it.
What is Warner's coaching style with you guys? Is he hands-on, more of a professor-like, or is he like in your ear, a lot of screaming and that kind of stuff?
No, I don't think Coach Warner's raised his voice one time. He's a real laid-back guy. He really just observes everything, and a very detailed guy, though, very, very detail-oriented in the meeting rooms. He's very smart, but at practice he kind of just sits back and watches what we do, and then really breaks it down in the film room. Obviously he coaches on the field too, but his main coaching points and his coaching points coming from the meeting room.
Did he come in and change a lot with you, or did he feel like you pretty much already had what he was looking for?
There's always stuff to get better. There's been some fundamental stuff that we're working on, and that's not going to be a deal where you can change it through, 10 practices. It's going to be a deal where, me and probably Taylor Lamb, the RGA, are going to have to be the main ones working on it during the summer and just working on that. But he's obviously, contributed and gave a lot of knowledge to me just from the short time he's been here already. So just really excited to see where it goes.
All right, Jake Bentley, and of course they got to get him to that next level. They got to get him into the 3,500-yard passing category. Tyson Williams seems to be, with Rico Dowdle once again hampered. That's the thing about Dowdle. He's a talent, you know that, but you can't count on him. He's just been injury-prone since he's been at USC. Tyson Williams was among those there today, and he knows that they need him to step it up, that they say in practice he does a great job. When the lights turn on last year, he said that maybe he just didn't click for him, but he feels good this year. He thinks he can be the guy. And what he said was, like all running backs, they want to carry the load. They want the routine. They want to get into a rhythm, and subbing in and out as a running back doesn't help them get in that rhythm. He wants to be the guy that's going to get 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 carries in a row, kind of get that rhythm going. But it's also good to have depth because of the injury factor that you get there at running back. We'll hear more from some of the Gamecocks the rest of the week here. This high school football note, Channel 12 out of Augusta, reporting that former Silver Bluff running back D'Angelo Bryant, who went to Wake Forest and had a very good career, going to be the new head coach at Silver Bluff.
Okay.
So they're turning to one of their own to try and return themselves to greatness over there at Petticoat Junction. You been through there before?
Many a time.
Yeah.
Many a time.
That is a proud football program, and under Al Lown over all those years, and now they're turning to one of their own to see if they can get things going back in a positive way. And that is pretty much going to wrap it up for the sportsy side of Sports Talk tonight. Coming up after the bottom of the hour break, we'll have the captain, Billy Downer, with us, edition of a chilly SC Wild on the great outdoors. Any final thoughts from you, Pro?
Well, the Mother Nature has to get the memo. First day of spring was yesterday.
Mhm.
Apparently, she didn't see that. South Carolina, to be successful in baseball this weekend, they got to get to Georgia's bullpen. If there's anything sitting in there, anybody need any cheap gasoline, that's where it sits, in Georgia's bullpen. So they got to get to it.
Yeah, but you're talking about starting what?
A 17-year-old?
A true freshman who should be in high school. And then on Sunday, Chapman is isn't he? Is he a JUCO transfer? He's a new guy, needless to say. So that'll be a big test for the pitching staff. Thank you, Pro. We'll be right back.
It's time to get wild with SC Wild. Everything hunting and fishing from the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources and your host, Phil Kornblut. SC Wild on Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network.
Welcome back into Sports Talk, SC Wild edition here on South Carolina Radio Network. We welcome in, of course, the star of our show as we begin turkey season in South Carolina. No relation to our guest, of course.
Of course, the turkey call is back.
He's already hunting them down. It's the captain, Billy Downer. And, of course, I know before you get into anything else, being the sports guy that you are, you want to say something about your Bulldogs from last night. You
got that right. You go Bulldogs. I have no doubt.
Yeah. Well, listen, now, if I were a baseball team,
is doing great. They are doing great.
Yeah.
We've usually always been a pretty good baseball school, but of course, last night, sure, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Were you there when Tony Skoll played?
I was not.
Yeah. Well, he's going to do a heck of a job for them, and that was a big win. But now they get into their league this weekend, so they gotta keep it going. But things are happening in the great outdoors here in our state. It's a little bit chilly. That's not going to stop anybody from anything. It's turkey season. We're off and running with that. But what about this strange weather we're having this week? What kind of impact is it going to have on things?
Well, the turkey season, of course, opened yesterday, and it's going to run through May 5th on private lands. But for the first 2 days of turkey season, we kind of got dealt a little bit of a harsh weather blow. The early morning hours before the season even opened, had a terrible weather storm come through. High wind, a lot of rain, blew things around, made things very difficult for opening day yesterday. And then to follow that up, this morning you got winds blowing at 30 to 40 miles an hour again. So making it tough, even for the birds themselves, to stay in a regular pattern. So what I'm hearing from most folks, it's been a tough 2 days for the start. Most people get really excited at the first turkey season, first 2 days, first week, particularly because the birds are not as wary. Some people are dumber right now. They're easier to lure in. But the past 2 days of weather has made it very challenging, not only just to hear birds gobbling on the roost, to locate where they are, but also for the birds to hear you, for that matter, if you're calling from the ground. So been a tough 2 days, but some people have been successful.
Mm-hmm. What's the forecast look like moving forward?
Tomorrow's going to be a beautiful sunny day. Sunny days are great for turkey hunting. Looks like weather's going to get a little bit warmer in the next few days. So it looks like this opening weekend will be a good weekend. If we can stay away from high winds and just get some good calm days and lots of sunshine, we'll see birds moving around all day long.
Well, that is good news. So let's talk about some of the specifics now as we move into turkey season and the heart of turkey season. And you've got some reminders for people out there in terms of what they can and cannot do and what they need to have on hand if they're going out there looking for turkeys.
That's right. That's right. We talked about it last week, but would like to just remind folks again, remember, if you're hunting turkeys, you've got to have your hunting license as well as your big game permit, because turkeys are a big game animal. So that's included if you get a state combination hunting license. But a lot of times, some people, they get a fishing license 1 month, or during the summertime they come back and they want to get a hunting license, and they don't get the big game permit. For turkeys, you have to have a big game permit. And, of course, you have to have turkey tags. We've had a tag program in place for many years, so this is no new news. And they're free at any DNR office or online. They can be printed and mailed the next business day. You can't go get tags in the mail, expect them necessarily tomorrow. The best thing, if you need tags immediately, go to one of our offices in Charleston, in Florence, in York, Columbia, in 2 locations downtown on Assembly Street or out at the Farmers Market, and then the Clemson office, of course. But at any of our offices, you can get your turkey tags printed the same day. So that's just a note there. Children under licensed age. We also talked about that. We had youth days past weekend, which was great. In fact, the youth probably had a little bit better of a season opener with Saturday being a calm day versus the last 2 days we've had here across the state, particularly in the Midlands toward the coast. But kids must have, they must have turkey tags as well.
Mm-hmm.
If your child is under the age of 16 or your license age, they're going to have, you have to have a social security number to be able to get them their tags, to put them in the systems. And they've been in our system before. Part of the process of getting in our system, you've got to have a social security number for them. So just remember that if you're going to get turkey tags for a youngster under 16. A couple of reminders talking about statewide. The limit's 3 turkeys. We've gone over that. Folks sometimes wonder, why is it 3? It used to be 5. Well, a couple of years ago, we went through what we called a very basic experimental season here for the last couple of years, where we went down to 3 gobblers and we extended the season basically, which used to begin April 1st for most of us in the Midlands and run through May 1st. Some of the states started back at March 15th, and we basically came together March 20th through May 5th, which is great to be one and the same all across the state, but it takes some getting used to. And we're in that second, third year of that season, third year now, and it's been extended for another year or two so that our biologists we talked about last time, Jay Cantrell did a great job of explaining that, looking at the numbers, looking at the data to see where we need to be. Probably not expecting to see a jump in our gobbler limit, but maybe a moving of the season where it needs to be a little different. It needs to be a little different. Remember the time to shoot turkeys, particularly is 30 minutes before official sunrise to 30 minutes after official sunset.
Mm-hmm.
So the time that you can shoot turkeys is 30 minutes before sunrise to 30 minutes after sunset. Anytime outside of those hours, you will be shooting turkeys out of season. Basically, make sure it gets light enough so that you can identify the bird properly. Because we talk about identification a lot. The one thing, if there's going to be an accident that happens, misidentification of the game, and we have very few accidents in South Carolina with turkey hunting, but when we do have one, it can be severe because it's usually close up. And folks, if they make a mistake and they misidentify something moving in the woods and don't properly identify that target, take a shot, they're going to end up hurting somebody. So always identify your target and know what's beyond it. Last thing to remember, just a couple of last reminder here is it's unlawful to hunt over bait. Bait for turkeys is different from a lot of other things. Bait is simply this. It means placing, depositing, exposing, distributing, or scattering of salt, corn, wheat, or other grain or foodstuffs to constitute a lure or attraction for wild turkeys. Got a lot of calls this past week from folks with some farming operation questions where they had standing corn, they were bush hogging it, wondering if they could hunt turkeys over it. And unfortunately, that's considered that would be considered a lure or attraction. So if you're going to have a problem with standing corn from a food plot that you want a turkey hunt, you really should have took care of that several months ago after deer season was over, bush hog it, disc it in, wait a couple weeks, disc it in again to make sure that corn's gone so there's no food stuff or lure there for the turkey. That's just making it fair for the birds.
And we want to be fair to the birds.
Absolutely. Want to be fair to the birds.
Now, any early reports now that the season is underway, before things spread across the state, any early reports from some of those areas where folks could get out and start doing a little hunting?
I have heard some folks, a couple big birds have been taken in some different areas. Again, high winds, weather patterns can make it difficult for folks. It'll cause birds not to gobble on the roost, which again makes it hard to find them. But if you hunt hard and wait and are patient, that's one of my problems. I'm not a patient hunter. I'll go ahead and admit that. But if you wait mid-morning, late morning, you can be successful, particularly in the afternoon. One of the things that a good turkey hunter knows, if you wait to the afternoon, particularly this time of year when our birds are what we call henned up, and that means, Phil, they're chasing after the girls.
Mm-hmm.
They're not worried about anything else. If that girl's in front of them, they're following her around wherever she goes. And in the afternoon, though, those hens will leave those gobblers, and the gobblers will kind of go off on their own, and they're more susceptible to being called. They're going to be looking for somebody else, basically, because that hen leaves them. So afternoon hunts can be very successful for folks. And again, folks that hunt turkeys a lot, they know that.
All right, hang on, sir. We're going to get right back to you because coming up, we've got a very big event for the great outdoors here in the state of South Carolina. It's one of the marquee events, I would say, not just in South Carolina, but one of the marquee events of its kind anywhere in the country. We're going to talk about the upcoming Palmetto Sportsman's Classic this weekend at the fairgrounds as SC Wild continues.
It's time to get wild with SC Wild. Everything hunting and fishing from the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources and your host, Phil Kornblut. SC Wild on Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network.
And we're back with the captain, Billy Downer of DNR. We'll get back to him in just a moment. As I want to remind you that here on Sports Talk, we recommend highly that you check out foundersfcu.com. Learn how they can assist you in all of your financial needs. I know it's turkey season now here in South Carolina. It's steak season in Omaha, Captain. And Will is in Omaha to cover Clemson in the regional. He just sent us a photo of a steak he's about to devour, or the guy next to him, a 28-ouncer. He's at a place called The Drover in Omaha. It's the best steakhouse in Omaha.
Wow.
And they serve them up to, I've seen them 46, 48 ounces. And the guy sitting next to him, he said he sent a picture of a porterhouse about 28 ounces. So it just makes my mouth water thinking about it. It is so good.
Yes, it is. It'd be hard to eat, but it wouldn't be hard to eat. It may be hard to finish off, but it would be fun to try. I can tell you that.
But my point is, speaking of turkeys and being plump, you can imagine what Sir Will's going to look like by the time he gets back here.
Yes, absolutely. But on to the Classic.
Yes, I was going to say this weekend. Let me say this. Let me preface what you're about to say with this. I love the Palmetto Sportsman's Classic, and I'm not really a born and bred outdoorsman, but the many times that I've been over there, it is some thing to see with all the different wares and the different people exhibiting their various crafts. And gosh, it's just so much fun to walk around and see all the things you can purchase and use in the great outdoors.
Absolutely. The Palmetto Sportsman's Classic, actually, Phil, is the second largest show at the state fairgrounds next to the fair. How about that?
That's amazing.
We all know how big the state fair is. The Classic is actually the second largest show last time I checked at the state fair. So it is a large show. Absolutely. It is a big deal. If you've never been to the Sportsman's Classic, please encourage you to come out. The Classic opens on Friday, this Friday, at 12 at lunch, 12 noon, and runs to 8 o'clock on Friday. On Saturday, it will run from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., and on Sunday, it will be from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. So you got 3 days to come out. This is a huge show. If you're a boater, if you're a hunter, if you just enjoy the outdoors, if you enjoy farming, gardening, there's a lot to see at this Sportsman's Classic. Of course, you'll have Marshall's Marine and other boat vendors out there with lots of boats to see, from john boats to little small sneak boats. If you like flatfish like brim, like I do, if you like bass fishing, bass boats, if you like pleasure boats, deck boats, center consoles, T-tops, they'll all be there, and including and not limited to pontoons and tritoons. All the boats will be there for folks to see, as well as lots of hunting items, not just turkey season. Now, I will tell you, it'll be hard not to go in one of the buildings and not hear a turkey call somewhere. A lot of folks selling turkey calls this time of year, a lot of camouflage, cooler camouflage for the warmer weather, and also warm weather, cold weather gear as well, because as we know, the next couple mornings going to be cooler, so there'll be a lot of different clothing outfitters there. There'll be outfitters as well, hunting outfitters from across the country as well as out of the country, Africa, other fantastic areas that you can go to. A lot of duck hunting destination spots across America have booths, vendor booths at the Classic. So a lot to see from a hunter's perspective. Fishing, all the new tackles out, all the new baits. There'll be rows of bait. There'll be rows of different types of rods, reels, from saltwater to freshwater. A lot to check out. ATVs, UTVs, all the outdoor enthusiast items you want to see. Again, there'll be some farming implements there. There's always a couple tractor dealerships with small tractors, perfect for the weekend farmer, with all the implements that go with that, from discs to planters, and then seed for wildlife food plots. A lot to see is, of course, there. This is the 34th annual Palmetto Sportsman's Classic, so it's been going on 34 years. Harry Hampton, the Hampton Wildlife Fund, is is what runs the Palmetto Sportsman's Classic. So people are probably wondering, well, Billy, why are you pushing the Classic? Is this DNR's event? Well, it is actually the Hampton Wildlife Fund's show. The Hampton Wildlife Fund is a private nonprofit group that raises money to support the Department of Natural Resources efforts in South Carolina. They come in and help us with things that we can't do with state funds. For instance, the scholarships you hear me talk about a lot with our shooting sports, Harry Hampton gives us those scholarships we have to provide to our young people. Harry Hampton provides for a lot of different programs, from fishing rodeos in your counties. They help buy fish to stocking ponds for kids to come out and enjoy fishing for the first time in families. They do an awful lot for our department over the years. Been a tremendous resource for us. Can't thank the Hampton Wildlife Fund enough for what they do. And they're named for Harry Hampton, almost the father of the Wildlife Department in South Carolina, so to speak. He was in charge of the Wildlife Federation back in the early 30s, which eventually started the Wildlife Department way back when. So a lot of history there with Harry Hampton, but the Hampton Wildlife Fund's a big part of us, and we support their show. You see a lot of our officers and out, a lot of our staff's out. It's a big day, big weekend, big 3-day event for us to also brag about all the good programs we're doing. So come out to the Ellison Building and see the DNR exhibits there. When you come in the fairgrounds to the left, the Ellison Building. Of course, you've got the Candy Building and the Goodman Building, but we call it Candy 2. Two huge buildings that will be covered with air conditioning and heat there. Lots of vendors in there. So if it's raining, still come out. You can stay out of the weather and see a lot of good vendors as well. So activities. Every year, the Classic has lots of activities. We've got an electronic skeet range. We've got the DNR boating simulator will be there. The Take One, Make One heritage trailer, which we just revamped, is going to be there in front of the Ellison Building. Really cool. If you haven't seen that trailer, please come out and see it. Put a lot of work into it. It's got basically a success story for South Carolina over the last 50 years of all of our wildlife restoration successes, from the white-tailed deer to the wild turkey to the black bear, as well as our waterfowl project. So a really cool exhibit, which also holds the number 5 all-time white-tailed deer ever taken in the state, and it was actually found in Marlborough County. So if you haven't seen the number 5 deer, it scores up in the 188 range. Come out and see that. You'll be really, it's a really impressive deer, and that's in our new Take One heritage trailer. We've got another very popular item at the Classic is the catfishing pond. Kids come out. It's free. They can come out and they can catch a catfish in the pond. It's catch and release, but it's a lot of fun for folks as well. And it's also the time of year that folks can get their deer antlers scored. We talked about scoring before on the show, Phil, but people can bring their deer antlers out to the Classic, and our biologists, who are Boone and Crockett certified, will actually score your deer and tell you if you make the state book or not. So a lot of fun there. Major events this weekend. The South Carolina High School Bass Tournament weigh-in will be on Saturday, March 24th, and that's a big event. Schools from across the state will compete at our state event on Lake Murray and make it a really cool event for the kids. The officers bring them in off the lake. They kind of brought blue light line in all the boats, and they do a big weigh-in like Bassmasters and the FLW. It's really cool for the kids. And we do that on a big stage there at the Classic as well, so that would be a lot of fun. And there's always the 5,500-gallon hog trough that'll be over there in the cattle nut building. Yes.
We need that for the big guy when he gets back from Omaha.
Oh yeah, I'd love to see you do a swan dive in that. It'll be a lot of fun. So that's stocked with largemouth and striped bass, and there'll be fishing seminars at least 2 times a day, and casting demonstrations. Come out and see that. Extreme Raptor Show, and then we've got a retriever demonstration once a day with Ken Parkman from Pocatello Kennel. Come out, a lot to do. If you want to see more, go to the DNR website, dnr.sc.gov, and click on the Palmetto Sportsman's Classic icon on the right to see all the dates and times.
Fantastic. That's why we call you the star of SC Wild. We thank you so much. Great stuff. We'll talk to you again soon.
Yes, sir. Enjoyed it.
Have a great weekend, too, with the Classic. That is the captain, Billy Downer. We suggest that you get out to the Palmetto Sportsman's Classic this weekend at the fairgrounds. You will not be disappointed. That'll do it. Have a great night. Thank you, Brian Leonard. Tomorrow, more from Omaha and other great stuff. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.